Thank you so much, Jules, for joining.
I'm really excited to be here. I'm sure Jason is probably cringing that, TikTok creators on here.
No, I've been on a roll with the TikTok creators. I'm not going to lie. This might be my third or fourth week of people from TikTok joining the show. I'm trying to push. I'm having more creators online. And I actually like having people that are creators talking on the show because I think they're better conversationalists than a lot of other people because you're already used to talking to a camera. So it goes well. And there's so many awesome founders, journalists, reporters, commentators, everything in between that are online nowadays. It's kind of like, why not have them on the show? So the first thing I want to cover is how you freaking even got down this path. I feel like just being like a digital and tech commentator is kind of a new field to break into. And you're my age. How did you even find out that this was a job?
I got mostly in this field. I started creating on TikTok. I explored it in 2019, but didn't really go seriously into it until early 2021. And yeah, you gave a really good intro of what I do today. And how I got into this was, like most people, I went to college not knowing what I wanted to do at all. I ended up majoring in healthcare supply chain, which, was a very interesting field to me. I know that you appreciate the supply chain field as well.
Love it.
Yeah, for sure. So it just definitely wasn't for me, though. But it kind of goes back to the education system in high school, not preparing you for such a big decision at the age of 18. I think it's like over 70% of college students change their major at least once. Wow. And I was one of those people as well. I went in as marketing. And also it kind of funnels into why only like 13% of the US workforce is passionate about their careers. And I don't think you necessarily need to be passionate about a career. I think you just need to be more like deeply curious about a career to enjoy it. But it goes back into high school of like, you only have the concept of like what your parents did in work and what like your friends' parents did in work and what your neighbors did for work and what you see in the media, whether it's like actresses, actors, whatever. You don't really know all the possibilities. So why the internet is so cool today and it funneled into what I do today is I got more into podcasts, my junior year. I was deep into YouTube rabbit holes. And it was when I was having my first internships. And, I believe over everything in real life experience, like internships is where I learned the most throughout college. So when I was having my first internships in supply chain, I was noticing a lot of like outdated work culture things. And it scared me a lot because I was like, how Gen Z has grown up. We're at the oldest of Gen Z. I just don't think this work culture is going to work. So I was getting more into conversations about tech and how it can better our lives. And I went to deep YouTube rabbit holes. And I was also introduced, for example, to UBI by Andrew Yang on I think it was his Joe Rogan podcast in early 2020, maybe late 2019. And these things, I had never heard of someone within politics that I really resonated with and that I feel like spoke for a lot of things that our generation thinks about and talks about. Mm-hmm. And he talked a lot about tech. He talked a lot about work culture. And I was just fascinated by this. And again, put me into these rabbit holes, figured out I was Gen Z. In 2019, Gen Z wasn't even a conversation. It was mostly still focused on millennials. I think there was maybe 2 YouTube videos about Gen Z at this time. And it all just funneled into me becoming really inspired by these conversations, fascinated by them. And I started creating content about them because as I was learning about these things, I wanted to teach other people about them. I don't think I'm some smart person at all. I'm just a normal, stupid person who's very curious about these things. And started creating content and it's resonated with people.
I got really lucky in high school. I talk about, being somewhere where you're only influenced by your parents' roles. I actually grew up on a military base and went to a Department of Defense high school. So Everybody's parent did the same thing. Everybody's parent worked for the government. But I took video production classes and I always knew I loved producing. It was never a doubt in my mind. But when I went to college, I was like, I'll probably work for the government. So I did a major at Penn State. And I know you went to school in Pennsylvania too. Mm-hmm. Love that. I studied IST. I was like, maybe I'll work for the NSA. And now I'm still back in producing because when I was in college, I was given the option, to have a little bit more free time. Started my own podcast and, producing, I feel like you said, it's one of those skills where everything's taught better in person. So by doing what you want to do before you're told to do it, mm-hmm. I think is an incredible career path to take. And you also mentioned this acronym UBI, which Andrew Yang back, I believe in 2020, he said he would implement this thing that was called the Freedom Dividend, which is a universal basic income of $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year. And this would go to every adult American, I'm pretty sure, over the age of 18. So that was super interesting. Why do you think that resonated with you so much?
Well, so yeah, people talking about it too, like wanting to clarify that it is kind of this money is obtained through a VAT tax on big corporations. For example, his focus was always big tech and the fact that they make so much money off of individuals' data. So kind of a way to benefit off of your data, all this different stuff. Why it resonated with me so much is, for example, there was a trial in, I believe it was Stockton, California. And a great example of what happened there is, a lot of people can't take a day off of work. Like you're living paycheck to paycheck. A day off of work can be the pivotal moment between you missing a bill and not. So something like $1,000 a month, it could just like people can't live off of $12,000 a year. People aren't going to be lazy off of that. What it helps you do is it helps you cover the basics. So, for example, in Stockton, California, there were a few examples of people being able to take off a day of work to finally have those interviews of jobs that put them in a better, more fulfilling life position, all these different things. And that really resonated with me at the time in 2019, 2020, because I was having those first internships and I was figuring out, I feel very stuck in my major. Like I'm going to be making, not that much money out of college. I'm going to be in a hard position of like, how can I change my career? Because, I was so deep into this college major. Changing my major would have made me have to stay at college longer. I was already deep into student debt. I couldn't even make that decision. That wasn't an option at this point. So hearing stories like that really, really resonated with me, even though UBI obviously helps across the board of people with health insurance, like just everyday life things. It also helps you. So after work, I was noticing this when I was working in supply chain out of college, you have your job and then you're exhausted after your job, or like all this money that you're making has to go to your necessities. There isn't really room for being curious, and exploration can be a privilege in a lot of ways. Luckily online, it democratizes a lot. It makes a lot of curiosity and exploration free for you because there's so much information online. We live in the information age, moving into the intelligence age, but so much about exploring these things in real time and in your real life, you have to spend money to do those things. So something like $1,000 a month could help people live more fulfilling lives as well. So, yeah.
Yesterday, you and I went out for coffee and we were talking about our parents posting stuff on Facebook about us and how that is a bone of contention for both of us. And you're more like, Mom, Dad, I don't want my personal information on the internet. I'm more like, Mom, stop taking bad photos of me and putting them on the internet. But regardless, I don't want my parents putting bad photos of me. Nobody wants that. Why is this a generational divide?
So I think even 5 years ago, I wasn't as sensitive to my parents posting bad photos on Facebook or posting about my personal whereabouts on Facebook. It wasn't as big of a deal because we all were mostly following and interacting with our friends and family online. Now it's become increasingly about strangers, and a lot of these strangers end up becoming friends and everything like that. And you end up building communities with strangers online. But the internet has more reach than ever for the average person. So it can get a little scary in those realms. Yeah, I told you a story about how my parents were here over the weekend and I was like, guys, let's just not post anything on Facebook. They kind of just did these long paragraphs on Facebook. And I was like, guys, we don't need to be posting this information to your friends. I don't know if they want to share this with other people. And you just don't know the chain of events online anymore. And I think it's our parents and everything are still in this headspace that is what social media is about, friends and family. And we are now in this headspace of it is so much bigger than that.
Totally.
And we know we've been online for over a decade now. So we can see what we posted when we were young and how much maybe we regret what we posted when we were young. And there's so much online, even month to month, I find myself deleting things I posted last month because I no longer resonate with them. And it's I think it's important, it's important for you to feel like you have ownership over everything that you post online. And when it's posted by other people, you lose a sense of that ownership because you're not the one who can easily press delete in that moment. So it's,
and how crazy, apps like Paparazzi exist where it's the entire app of Paparazzi is actually, for those of you who don't know, Paparazzi is where your friends take photos of you, tag you, and then your whole profile is photos that your friends took of you. I do not like that. Yeah. What are your thoughts about something like that?
Yeah, I've posted about this on TikTok when I have a few videos about digital footprint. One of my videos was, for example, I was reacting to someone's video and I blurred out their face and everyone was kind of like, why do you blur out their face? Because there's this whole thing online of giving people credit and everything like that. If you do someone's dance, you give them dance credits, all this different stuff. So I was reacting to their video about why adults are so disconnected with current tech. And because he was talking about at work, they're asking him the dumbest questions or something. I was like, I don't know if this guy's going to regret this video in the future. It was very aggressive. It was very I think he was off base with it. And I was like, I don't know. He could really regret this video. And so I gave him the credit via username. It was kind of like a pseudonym username. But I don't want, like, if he wants to take that video down, I don't want him to have to feel like he's attached to my video. Oh, can you take that down too? I don't want him to feel like that. I know how that feels when people stitch or duet your videos and they're just like ratting on you. And now you have no control over that. I also had a video.
That's so funny. That's like new etiquette. It's new etiquette on the internet.
Yeah, it's weird. And then there was another video where this person went viral on TikTok, like this teenager, it was at a BTS concert. And it was like this older guy. He was maybe in his 40s. And they're like zooming in on him. He was sitting while everyone else was standing.
I hate that. It's so mean.
Yeah. And it went viral. I forget what the caption was. It was something like mean or whatever. It went viral on TikTok. All the comments were trashing him. I was like, he could just like not be feeling well. Like the fact that this went like a TikTok of someone sitting at a concert while everyone else was standing went viral. This guy's probably innocent. And I was talking about how Twitter has this new policy that people were freaking out about a few months ago, mostly in the political realm, because they thought it could mess with free speech, was this thing of if someone posts a picture of you, you can, I can't remember the exact language, but you can now report it as like, you don't approve of that. And people were pushing criticism of it.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Like people were pushing criticism because like, some things are very important in like, journalistic context of whether it's shootings or like, just more aggressive things that it's important to have documentation of online. But obviously there's rules around that. That to me, when reading this, I was like, it is targeting for the first time. Social media platform is targeting that like you can have a say in someone else posting you. There's things like Barstool has thrived off of this over the years. Like the college Barstool accounts, like these drunk college students who get these videos sent in of them doing like really dumb to Barstool, and Barstool blasting it across the internet and them having like no say. That's pretty crazy that people can just do that. So I think all of this is like important to think about. And like you're talking about like these new etiquettes that we have to consider, because these things do have real world impact on people. It's not just like this internet bubble.
I actually was on Barstool, and this wasn't for being like anything crazy. I think I was on a slip and slide in jeans. I was of legal drinking age, and there was alcohol in the background. But at the time I was a part of an organization that doesn't allow photos of you to be on the internet where there's alcohol being placed. And even though the photo was taken before I joined that organization and I posted on a personal account before I joined that organization, it wasn't allowed to be reposted while I was a part of it, right? And Barstool posted it. And I remember being like
the main account?
It wasn't and it might have been I think it was Barstool main, actually. And they actually did end up taking it down, which was good. But, and it wasn't a bad photo. It wasn't unflattering. I can't imagine being like somebody like, like you post a bikini pic and somebody reposts it and then you're like, oh my gosh, now like I'm like being seen in front of this audience. Like I can't imagine that happening. And luckily that did not happen to me. Like I said, I'm not embarrassed by the photo at all. In fact, it might honestly still be up my personal account, but I still felt like, dang, violated. I was like, don't do that. And I can think that was like the very first time where I was like, you know what, if it's on Instagram, it is fair game. And there's no other way of putting it. Like it is fair game. So if anybody out there, especially in college, is posting anything on the internet that you don't want to be picked up or circulated by anybody else, just don't post it. Like, do not post it. And I think going back to like the etiquette, I think this is a super weird time for our generation, being the older Gen Z, where we had Facebook. And I remember like people would just start talking to guys, for example, or talking to girls, talking to whatever significant other they had. They post on their status, they change their status, they post photos of them. Now there's this whole premise of like soft launching your significant other. I don't even want my significant others ever to be on my social media at all, hopefully, until I always joke and I'm like, until there's like 1 year of marriage, you know what I mean?
I think I retweeted that tweet of yours. Yeah, you were like 3 years into marriage, I'll post.
Right? And it was a joke. I mean, like, I don't really care that much, but I just think it's more to, like, I was kind of exaggerating this, like, total shift away from this, like, Facebook culture where we would post, like, every single friend of ours, tag them, significant other, to now having this thing where you soft launch your significant other, which is basically like posting a photo without their face in it. And then finally launching them, which is a photo with their face in it. I'm like, this is so funny. Yeah. Like, I'm like, this is so interesting. And like I said, like I don't care that much, but I do think it's interesting that it has become something that's just like more and more guarded. And why do you think that is like soft launching became a thing and launching your partner became a thing rather than just like posting if you're in a relationship?
I think it's kind of like over the years, we saw people, you know, breaking up, getting with other people, and then like their feeds would have like multiple boyfriends on it. And people were kind of like, oh, this is like, you notice like your digital trail now, and you notice that these platforms are like your life archive. And a lot of people, when they would break up with someone, you know, they're
delete all the photos.
Yeah, they're deleting the photos. That was a big thing. But some people don't. And it was just kind of weird to go through the profile. You're like, you're seeing their evolution of relationships. So I think people were kind of realizing that, and that, you know, you don't just like post, you know, when you just start dating, it's a more of a serious thing now. And again, when like more strangers are being involved in your social media platforms, it also gives people the opportunity to comment on your personal life more than ever before. And you take that, of course, more seriously, because that has major effects on like your psyche when you're just hearing everyone's opinions all the time.
Totally.
I think people are just like, it's more, and I think Gen Alpha, for example, like Gen Alpha right now has no say in what's being posted about them when they are below the age of 10. And even like
That's
up
crazy.
until like you're 16, you don't really, again, have this conscious understanding of what it means to be posting on the internet. You have these kids being used for vlog content. You have these kids being used for TikTok content. And the parents are like, oh, well, they enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
They don't understand what that means to be blasted across the internet. Like they don't know. They enjoy dancing and making a video, and they enjoy just having fun. They don't understand the internet. Like Gen Alpha, my parents and like all these older people were posting every aspect of their lives. Like, I'm going to value privacy more. Maybe we'll see that happen.
I think it's a great thing to dive into. And, you know, it makes me think like I see people, another famous podcaster, Dax Shepard, who does Armchair Expert, for example, doesn't post photos of his kids on the internet. Or if he does, he puts like emojis over their face. And I'm like, wow, this is so interesting. And then going back to relationships, it kind of got me thinking that the first time you kind of like our parents' generation showed off their significant other to the world was on their wedding day. Like their wedding day. It was their wedding. You know what I mean? Like, or, you know, maybe prom, like something where it's like an event where all your friends are there. And now we have like an audience of people, even ones we don't even know, scaled 10 times whatever you're probably having at your wedding, at our fingertips. So I'm interested to see how our relationships, not just romantic, but with your family and with other people, like down the line, could it get to the point where like I get hesitant, honestly, even posting my own friends on my social media platform. Any social media platform I get nervous about, unless I know that they're also chronically online and okay with it. I try not to post them on the internet. I also, we talked about this yesterday, don't post my location ever. Like if I'm walking somewhere, none of my Instagram stories are of where I am in that moment. And I almost never use Snapchat anymore. How can we like teach the younger generation under us to guard their information and have better internet etiquette? Because we are not seeing it right now.
Yeah, I think like, because I'm so passionate about these conversations, like I make content exactly talking about these things. I think if like you're curious about something, or if you've had a life experience that can be a teachable moment for others, the way to reach people and the way to educate young kids today is literally on these platforms that they're navigating. And, you know, they're going through all these things of these viral moments of, oh, maybe I should start posting because like people are getting these opportunities. Like they also need to hear this other side of social media and where you're going to help them realize that, because parents don't fully understand it at this point. I think even Chamath on the All In podcast was talking about like, you know, just like with the pandemic and like, this is the only way to socialize with their friends, and like how he couldn't really rein in like this social media addiction that like all kids have today, everything like that. Not even in Chamath's wealthy position that he doesn't feel like he can fully comprehend and understand that. That's how all parents are. The people who need to educate kids on these are people like our age who have been through these like threatening or like negative experiences and posting about them, so that they get on these algorithms, the For You pages of these kids, and they can understand that side of social media too. It's actually really important. So like we were talking about earlier, like as you are going through life and experiencing learnings, like share, you can have the ability to share that and make an impact on that with the world. You don't have to be like, a child wellness expert to just be talking about these things. People who have real life experience are the best to be talking about them.
That is a phenomenal note to end on. I hope more people can mosey on over, if they do use TikTok, over to your TikTok account. That's my favorite form of content that you do put out. I know you have a YouTube channel as well. I know you have bunches of other platforms that you're creating amazing content in. And again, congrats on the Washington Post advice column dropping in mid-August. Where can people find you on social media?
I'm a big Twitter junkie, and I'm also mostly on TikTok, obviously, at Jules Terpak. I really recommend people send in questions to the Washington Post. It's like the Ask Jules page. So the advice column's all about living online and our growing relationship with digital. So if you have questions, or if you have like questions that you ponder that you think are good for other people to consider, send those in. I'm really excited about that. It starts mid-August, and yeah, I'll be answering all your questions there.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Jules.
Thank you.